Okay, hello everyone. Do you all hear me well? Awesome. So, my name is Natali. Thank you, Tracy, for the introduction. My name is Natali. I'm a Field Enablement Manager at Uberall. Uberall. I know it's a complicated one for you guys. In German, this means everywhere. For those of you who are not familiar with what we do, we help businesses turn their digital presence into what matters most, revenue. And you might be thinking, I know what you're thinking at the moment, what does a Field Enablement Manager have to do with AI? Good question. Let me tell you. My position is really about connecting people. My position is about understanding different personas. And my mission is to provide knowledge at the right time for the right people. And today, you are those people, so you're those lucky ones. Okay, what we're going to go through today? We're going to go through search. So, what are the challenges nowadays when it comes to search? How did search change? Because search is changing and behavior is changing. We're also going to go through your journey as marketers, as team leaders. What is your journey and how does it look like today? And last but not least, I'll give you, at the very end of the presentation, 8 steps that you can start following right away to conquer AI. At the very last slide, I actually also have a surprise for you. So as they say, stay until the end. So, before I introduce you to the next character, I want to feel the energy of the room. I want to see who had coffee this morning. Who had coffee? Yes, there you go. Oh, is that too loud? So, you're just like our character, Jane, written with AI. So Jane, she's adventurous. She loves traveling, and she just moved from San Diego to try out some croissants with coffee. She moved to Paris. Now, Jane is this girl. She's 26. And the first thing that she does when she goes to Paris, she wants to actually look for a nice study-friendly coffee shop. So what she does, we all have those machines, right? She goes right away to her phone. She goes to ChatGPT because she has a very tailored request. She doesn't like noise, okay? She wants a place where she can just focus on studying, and that's what she also does, she's looking for. So, let's look into her intent. Her intent is local credibility, right? So she's looking for something in Paris. What are her preferences? She's a student. She wants a study-friendly environment. And she also prefers oat milk. And of course, she wants it to be currently available. Now, what's interesting about Jane is that Jane is part of the 58%, and I want you to remember this number. 58% of consumers that start their discovery, they start their search in ChatGPT, in Gemini, in Perplexity. And this is something new, because last year we didn't see those numbers, and those numbers are growing. And our positions and our role is also changing as marketers. Another interesting thing that we found in our in our consumer report is that 1/3 of the people actually trust and prefer the AI-driven results. So how can we handle that? How can we handle the fact that search behavior, we've been studying search behavior for how many years? We've been coming up with acronyms. We've been coming up with positions. SEO, GEO, whatever you call it. And now everything is changing? Really? Well, it is. Let me introduce you to Mary the marketer. Now, Mary the marketer, she lives in Paris. She loves data, just like you do. She loves networking, and she loves coffee, just like all of you. And she has a problem, because her SEO efforts are no longer enough. Now, don't get scared of this slide. There is a lot of information, and this is the moment that you want to take a photo. Yes, because this is a really good summary of what we'll be covering in the next 15 minutes together. We're going to be going through the relevance to intent. We're going to be going through consistent and structured data, presence everywhere, and authority and trust. And this is the so-called AI Discoverability model. Okay? For each one of these elements, I'll be giving you 3 different tips that you can follow right away. Sounds good? Let's do it. So, going back to Jane. You remember our character, Jane, that she is looking for a study-friendly place? Now, going back to her intent, how can Mary the marketer be sure that her location is relevant to her intent? Now, let's start with the first tip. You want to have unique, high-quality local pages. What does that even mean? Why? Why do we need that? Now, many of you are already experts in the field, right? So I don't need to explain you why local pages are important, but what I want to explain you, I want to challenge you to think about it in a different way, okay? So today we're going to be thinking of the perspective of AI. So let's do it together. Why are local pages important for AI? Think about the local pages. This is a dedicated page that you have for each location, for each physical location. This also means that you have so many opportunities to actually share as much data as you want to. Of course, you're posting in Google My Business. Of course, you're posting in all of these other directories. However, they don't give you as many filters. They don't give you as many options. So this is where you really post your very, very tailored information. Now, talking about conversational language, I want you to think about your own experience. When you go to ChatGPT, when you go to Gemini, how do you ask questions? It's not anymore about keyword stacking. Nowadays, we want to have a conversation with the AI system, right? And this is how we also approach this conversation. Now, you as marketers, what you need to do, what our role is to think about what is the query that my customer is going to ask. What do I want to rank for? What do I want that the AI would be recommending me for? Okay, so you want to use this conversational language. And again, think about also even the reviews. Think about how do you ask for reviews? What is the experience there? Frequently asked questions. What are the frequently asked questions? Maybe you want to ask them, what type of product, what type of service did you just use? What type of milk did you just drink, right? Think about dog-friendly. You want to put, there's so many people nowadays that are choosing to have a dog, and they actually want to take a dog, to take care of it just like as a baby, and they want to go to the next coffee shop. So put all of these keywords and make it as conversational as possible. And last but not least on this one, include CTAs, call to actions. You want to include call to actions. And again, let's think about the why. Call to actions, they convert users, but they also convert AI systems. Why is that? The moment that you have a user scrolling all over through your page and going and actually clicking on order now, buy now, this is when you're sending a signal to the AI system that this is a they have a high engagement and convertible page. All good so far? It all makes sense? Amazing, because I'm going to move on to the next step of Jane's journey. Now, we remember what Jane did. She went to her phone, she went into ChatGPT, and she actually wants to understand a bit more. She wants to see where the location is. She wants to see the website. And we're moving here to the second element of the AI Discoverability Framework. And the second element is the consistent and structured data. Now think about consistency across all directories. So we want to think about the naming, we want to think about the address, we want to think about the phone. So consistency equals structure. And structure equals confidence. You're giving confidence not only to the users, you're also giving confidence to AI. You're giving confidence that you're the relevant business, that you have control over your locations, And you don't want to confuse it too much, right? So you want to make sure that whatever is on Google My Business and Google Maps, that is the same that comes across Apple and Apple Maps. Now, before I forget, on our stand, we also have 2 representatives from Apple Maps. So in case you want to ask them questions, you're welcome to join our booth right after the talk. Second one on this one, of course, schema markup. Now, I know some of you have this expertise on schema markup, but essentially this is translation. So you want to be translating everything from the web page. You want to be translating it to the machines, so it doesn't have to guess. And last but not least on this one, this is my personal favorite. You want to structure your content into headings, into listings. The more structured it is, the easier it is to read. What does that mean? You as a user, you would actually go into an article, you would actually go to a page, and you would read all the things through, just because it's such an easy read, and then essentially, you would also click on the call to action. And there you go. You're sending again a signal to AI that this is a relevant page, that your business is relevant. Following Jane's journey. Now, Jane wants to know more because she's going to be spending the whole year in Paris. She wants to know. It's important. So she goes to TripAdvisor, she goes to Yelp, she goes to social media. She wants to know more. Third element of the AI Discoverability Framework. We want to make sure that your business is present. Not only in 1 or 2 directories, you want to make sure that it's present everywhere. Now, you want to stay visible on Google, you want to stay visible on Apple, you want to stay visible on Bing. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've been avoiding this one for a while, but Bing is here to stay, and it's also here to change the game. So don't forget this one. You want to post updates regularly. And of course we know this, we're marketers. Well, obviously, we need to update our business. But think about it, this is the only way that you can show and prove to all the AI-driven systems that you're relevant, that your business is alive. So a very important one. And also it can be a very challenging one. Last but not least on this one, you want to get mentioned by local communities. And now this can be slightly different for each one of you because it really depends where your business is located. But think about the local newspaper. Think about any local articles. So I used to live in Vienna, and in Vienna they used to have like trams. They still have trams, but they used to have news in the tram. There was a dedicated news section only for the tram. And this was, let's say, a very niche local way to position yourself. So think about it outside of the box a bit. Okay, there you go. Good. Now, I want to ask you, seeing those 2 reviews, review number 1 is a review from 7 years ago, 5 stars. Review number 2 is from 2 months ago, slightly less stars. I want to see who would trust review A. Nobody? Here? No? Who would trust review B? There you go. Not only the users would trust you more, but also AI. We literally read the same signals. Do you get my point here? And Jane keeps looking because she wants to make sure, okay, I've already went through Google My Business, Apple Maps, I know how it looks like. And then she sees all of these wonderful reviews, and guess what? There's a happy ending to this story. Finally, Jane, after all of her research, she finds where she will be spending the next 12 months every single day in her new favorite coffee shop. And now I want to talk about the last element of the AI Discoverability Framework, and this is about authority and trust. So how do we make sure that Mary really communicates this trust? How can we make sure that Mary wins the trust of Jane? Now, you want to get listed in trusted directories, right? I want you to think about it as assessment, because AI is assessing the business. Now, when you're listed in trusted directories, this also means that you're credible, that you're relevant, and that you're trustworthy. Second one on the list, you want to respond to customer feedback. Now, we've all been there. We've all went to some business, to some service. We were right there, and we were not happy. When customers are not happy, this is when they tend to write reviews. So you wrote this review, and you never got a response. And this made you feel upset, misunderstood, and you're definitely not trusting this business, and you're never going back again. I have an extra tip on this one. Don't think only about negative reviews. Think also about the positive ones. Because velocity and also review recency, these are the two things that also matters when it comes to reviews. And therefore, never stop asking for reviews. I'm going to give you a challenge. I want each one of you, the moment that you leave this room, think about what is another way that we can ask for reviews. And I want you to think outside the box, okay? Think about, now, around 2 weeks ago, I was in London, and I was waiting for my shawarma, and I was waiting there, right next to me, there was a patch of business cards. And on the business card, there was a huge QR code. Now, this QR code basically incentivized me. So right away, what I did, I left a review, just because it was right there next to me. Otherwise, I would have never even thought of it, right? So think about the ways to incentivize your customers, maybe also your staff, to collect reviews. I have here another one, which might seem very obvious, but have you thought of reviews? Like, reviews are basically free consultancy, because we get reviews, and if we actually follow them, we might actually bring our business to the next level. So use this sentiment analysis that you're getting, and use this to your favor. Now, I want to really quick touch on something that I read on Whitespark. And Darren Shaw, he actually referred to review recency as the most underrated local ranking factor of 2025. Review recency. And we already talked about it, right? And here on the graph, what you can see, that's basically a business. That's a business that actually rewards their staff for collecting reviews. The moment that the business and the staff stopped being rewarded basically for these reviews, you can see that the graph goes flat. And this is impressive. It's literally 2 months that they were not rewarded, and for these 2 months, the rankings went into the red zone, the rating went down, only because the staff was not rewarded. Now, of course, this is also a bit of a sneaky one, I have to say, but it works. And if it works, why wouldn't we do it, right? Okay, now, we talked about what humans want, and we talked about what machines need. What's in the middle? In the middle is so-called location performance optimization. Now, for those of you who never heard of this acronym, LPO, it has 4 different elements. And by the way, throughout the last 17 minutes, we've been covering those elements. So this is just a simplified version of this. We talked about visibility, we talked about reputation, we talked about engagement, and we talked about conversion. And I know that each one of you has different expertise, right? Each one of you maybe is a team leader, maybe is a manager, maybe you have your own company, and you have different players in the team. I wanted to look at these 4 elements as a team. Now, I'm not an expert in soccer. However, I did have to research what the roles are. So let's talk about soccer. You have a defender, right? You have a goalkeeper, right? You have a, help me out with this one, middle fielder. Is that correct? Thank you. And of course, you have all of these people. They have all their own expertise, but together, they're strong because they're a team. But the team doesn't exist if one of them is not there. And this is exactly what LPO is. And essentially, it also leads to revenue, and it also leads to visibility when it comes to the AI-driven systems. Now, I promised you something. I have here 1 minute left. I promised you those 8 steps. And this is going to be your homework. I'm not going to go through the 8 steps right away. You can take a picture. That's great. Yes, this is your homework. This is what we've been covering throughout the last 20 minutes. And if you follow this, I want you to think about it. You are in a very special position because now AI and search is evolving. AI delivers, actually AI doesn't deliver options anymore. It's not anymore about scrolling through options because AI delivers conclusions. And when you think about your roles, you're in a very special role because you can literally be the game changer for your business because you can make your business be part of these conclusions. And I promised you the very last slide. Do you remember? I promised I have a special surprise. This is an AI grader. That's also in our booth number 34. It's right there when you, where you entered. And this is an AI grader, and you can right away actually check whether your business is visible for AI. I want to thank you guys for these past 21 minutes. Thank you for your time, and don't forget, you are the game changers. Thank you so much.